I have seen other Web3 projects with this uh, narrative about privacy. That's why the fourth question is, why should we choose Firo technology over its competitors? That's a really great question.
No, that's a great question. Obviously, we use something called Lalanta Spark. Now, obviously, there are many other. I would say, okay, not many. I would say a handful of other privacy protocols out there. I guess the most famous would be Ring CT, which is a Ring Signatures Confidential Transactions, which is used in Monero, Xano, and many other coins that kind of use that kind of technology, right? Then there is ZK Snarks, using like what we call Groth16 sapling proofs, which is what I guess an earlier version of Zcash use, and Pirate Chain and many other like Tornado Cash and all of this also use this kind of like Groth16 ZK Snarks type of thing. Obviously there's Halo 2 and all of that, but let me just quickly talk about it in a very simplistic terms so people can understand. So with Ring CT, you are kind of like your plausible deniability per transaction. That means it's like when I am making a transaction, I am basically grabbing 15 other decoys, right? So your real transaction is still somewhere within there, but then I'm kind of hiding myself like, I could be one of the 16, let's just say people. Obviously, it's not people on the blockchain, but it's just kind of like, all right, I guess a classic example is that, I want to fart in the lift, I have like a tummy ache, I really need to let out some wind. And if I'm the only person in the lift, if I'm the only person farting in the lift, when the person comes to the lift and like, Ruben, you're the one who farted, right? But in Ring Signatures, I'm dragging 15 other poor innocent people into the lift with me, and then I let out a fart. And then, when someone comes in, they're like, who among these 16 people let out the fart, right? But obviously, this has its limitations. 16 isn't a very big number, and if I keep on dragging, 15 people, but after a while, people are like, hey, hang on, the common denominator here is that Ruben's in this lift, right? So that kind of privacy isn't really good. And you can even like right now, there's actually an ongoing attack on Monero where it's like called Flood XMR or Black Marble attack, where someone keeps on spamming lots and lots of transactions so that their transactions become the people in the lift, right? So that means all right, you put in all your people, obviously the one person that isn't the person that you placed in, right? So it has a lot of limitations, and Monero is aware of this stuff, right? Which is why they're like, looking at stuff like Seraphis and full chain membership proofs, which is also like, based off our work, at least Seraphis is. But so that's one of the very small anonymity sets compared to Firo, which is like 32,000, 64,000. Obviously, it's a much larger amount, and you're not dragging people into the lift with you. With ZK Snarks, which is like very widely used, and most people are like, oh, ZK Snarks, this amazing thing. The problem is that there's this thing called a trusted setup, which means that you kind of have to get a bunch of people, generate some initial like secret ingredients and sauce, and then people have to destroy it, right? As long as one of them destroys it, right, then you cannot reconstruct this what they call it toxic waste. And whoever actually somehow this trusted setup, if you actually retain these ingredients, you can actually fool the system to actually generate coins out of thin air, right? So obviously it sounds like, perfect, all these people participating, and if only one person destroys it, you cannot reconstruct the whole thing. But without going into details, there have been weaknesses in this type of ceremony, which was an active attack, and it's just not a good to have to trust something, right? The whole purpose of blockchain is don't trust, verify. But here you have something called a trusted setup. So, that's not very ideal. So I would say that Firo offers pretty high privacy. It doesn't have any sort of exotic trust requirements. And it's also done in a way which is actually very modular. That means, this is like the addressing system, this is the ZK proof for that. And when better tech comes about, we can actually take certain components out and replace it with new tech. So that's also really good, both in terms of future proofing, and also it makes security analysis a lot easier because you can analyze the components individually. So I wouldn't say like, one technology is the best of everything, but Firo's technology is pretty up there, I would say, among the best. Some people would say the best, I would say it's among the best because it's hard. Well, it depends what your threat model is, right? It's an independent development, right? Which has been, praised by many people. And look, Monero also took a lot of pointers from us for their next gen privacy protocol, which they are probably a few years out. So our tech is here today. Yeah.